Hello, my name is Marky Denhauer. I am pursuing a leadership role with Sample Middle School because I want to be able to build a positive culture and really foster the growth and development of all of the students. I have always wanted to become a leader to be able to impact more than just an individual class. I have strived to be able to learn and grow within the other professionals within the building. Through the growth and reflection from the whole entire school, you're able to build more growth as a community. So I'm really hoping to be able to be a leader in this community to help with all aspects, from the students to the teachers to the community itself. What do you identify as potential challenges of leading? When it comes to leading, you're always going to have challenges. There will always be people who don't see the same views as you or think you are doing it in a way that you shouldn't be doing it. I hope to lead in a way that is backed by data and by the understanding of the staff at the school and the district as a whole. I pride myself on making sure that the needs of the students and the teachers and the safety of everybody within the school is very, very important. And I hope to be able to work through some of those challenges and be able to communicate with families the reasons on why we set the guidelines and have the guidelines that we have, simply to make sure that all students have the necessary needs to be able to be successful and to learn and to grow within the school. As a new teacher to the school, or as a new leader to the school, how would you build relationships with the team? What steps do you plan to take, and what challenges do you envision? So first off, to build relationships with my team, I would be very open about my communication skills. I would focus on building that culture and building that environment that really allows for them to have a choice and a decision in the way that the school's ran. Yes, there are definitely things that won't be up to them, but being able to give them that choice in the decision-making process and that choice when moving forward with challenging decisions. It allows for a lot more buy-in and a lot more effort from the teachers to build and continue that relationship. So going into it with an open understanding that we are all here to improve and change and to reflect on the choices that we make and see where they go, and know that not any of us are perfect and that we all have room to grow, and not just teachers, not just students, but me as an administrator as well. I plan to work on building committees that will focus on making some of the decisions throughout the school with like leadership teams. I will focus on doing that with different groups around the school, so every school has a voice, every part of the school has a voice, and really be able to share the thinking of the school as a whole. Along with challenges with this, again, there's always going to be people who would like to differ with you. There's always going to be people who find your opinions wrong, and being able to work with that and envision that as an option to grow and move forward. It'll help me be a better leader having to deal with some of those challenges. Describe your leadership style. Like I've mentioned in some of the other questions, I have a very open communication type of leadership style. I see that my way is not always the right way. It is a way that I can share my thinking and the things that I think are vital to the school, and share them in a space where the rest of the committee or the rest of the school has an option to share their voice as well, and find a collective arrangement with everybody. This can go from simple decision makings to schedulings to all sorts of things, but being able to allow the staff and the teachers in the school to have some sort of voice in what they're doing day in and day out is very vital to them having the encouragement and the enthusiasm to be a part of the growth and building the culture of the school. Leadership can be demanding. How do you balance your personal and professional obligations? How do you encourage your team to find balance? Any job can be demanding. Any job that demands a lot of somebody, especially both mentally and like on your day-to-day abilities, is very, very important. I thrive in being able to help others and to be able to give to others. And I think that would be a good thing that helps me balance it personally. But by finding that time where it is, are these things that need to happen? Are these things I want to happen? What is the timeline for these? Kind of setting up those guidelines and those expectations to make sure that as an administrator, I am not showing that I should be here working 24, like all day long every day, because then my staff feels like that's more of the obligation, versus having that understanding that the school is the priority, getting everything you need done is the priority, but making sure that you do have some options for enjoyment, some options for school enjoyment, like having potlucks, having Christmas parties, having all sorts of different things throughout the school year that bring the culture and the community of the school together, to be able to help find that balance and find that positive personal and professional combination. As an admin, I definitely will need to focus on the fact that I am an admin, I am an administrator for these teachers, I am somebody who they look up to for help and for when they need something. And being able to find that balance and being able to say, okay, I hear your voice, but I am the final say in this matter, or I understand the frustrations of your team and where can we go forward with that. So just encouraging my teachers to be able to have that encouragement of themselves, to be able to voice their concerns, but knowing that I am to them what they are to their students. They control their students have choices, but at the end of the day, they are the final say, just like I would be within the school. Finding that personal to professional balance is always important, but there always should be some space where the two can align a little bit to a gray area, so that you do have better communication skills and you're not an authority to them. You are somebody there that they can reflect and be honest with. What do you see are your greatest professional strengths? What do you consider to be any areas of development? I would say when it comes to professional strengths as an administrator or in leadership roles, I do very well at listening to other people's thoughts and being able to find pieces that go together between the two of them. It is very, very important for me to be able to bridge those two gaps and find the common ground between the two. I'm also a very positive, outgoing person. I always look at the growth opportunities instead of the faults or the things that people may be able to be challenged with. With that, it is really important to me to be able to allow my teachers and my staff to have a positive outlook on things. It's a big part of my culture and the reasons I enjoy doing what I do. Areas of growth would probably be having those challenging conversations and not letting emotions and my body language and how I'm feeling be affected by that. Being able to keep a straight face, being able to not be affected by what others say is definitely an area of development for me. I normally can get through a conversation or get through that time and that piece, but every once in a while they do kind of weigh on me more, and being able to get a little bit of that thicker skin and be able to not take it personally is definitely an area of development for me. As a leader, you identify an employee who is struggling, not completing tasks accurately, missing deadlines, and not being available during business hours. What are the next steps you would take to support this employee? First off, I would meet with them and see if there was anything I could do to help them. See if they didn't understand what was asked of them. See if they were struggling with maybe what they were supposed to be doing or the amount of work they had based off the deadlines that they had, and try to get a gauge of what was going on. If for some reason they were misunderstanding things, I would go through everything. I would give them feedback. I would help them out whenever they need it. If it's the case of they're just being lazy and they're not following the task or missing the deadlines, then that would be a different situation. Moving forward, I would give them a warning and say, these are your expectations. These are a part of your contract. Show them the contract, have that as an example, have that as data evidence to support why I am talking to them for these reasons. And make sure they're just aware of these are the expectations. If you cannot continue to meet these expectations, there will be consequences to those actions. If you can't stay and if you're unable to complete the job that you are have a contract to complete, then that will be a different conversation with the whole district and figuring out those things. But if there was a task that I could help with, or if there were questions, or setting them up with like a mentor that could help with all that stuff, those would be my first steps before moving forward with anything with the district. Tell us about a time that you have dealt with an angry/challenging parent. When it comes to teaching, there's always, in my experience, I have been a teacher, so in teaching, I have always seen experiences where parents are frustrated or parents think their kid hasn't done anything wrong, when in reality it can be a really challenging situation. In the past, I've had to have challenging situations with parents getting frustrated about what another student at school has said, what an administrator has said, or another teacher has said. Having to talk with them and find a common ground where both parties are in agreement is sometimes challenging, but being able to have a conversation with all sides of the conversation or all sides of the argument and kind of meeting as that middle ground is very, very important. In a lot of situations, you will always have challenging parents. You will always have parents that are frustrated. But if you can have data and reflections on what you have been doing as an administrator or what the school has been doing as a whole in order to benefit and to help that student, that is your first step. If there are things not being met and there are students that aren't getting the needs that they're supposed to, or there's teachers that aren't disciplining in the correct way, where some kids get to do whatever they want and some kids get disciplined for it, then those are conversations that would have to happen within the staff to get everybody on the same playing field and know that everybody is in the same situation. You have 2 employees who are not getting along. How would you handle the situation? When it comes to employees, it is really challenging because as a professional, you should be able to get along with the other people in your building. You don't have to be best friends with them. You don't have to hang out with them after school. But by a professional level, you should be able to communicate and get along with them. With that being said, I would work on building relationships between those people, finding common ground, finding things where when they're similar, things that they maybe differ on, figuring out a time and a place where we can sit down and have a conversation and try to figure out what the problem is and figure out what to move forward with. And have those hard conversations that state, okay, I know you're frustrated. I know you two don't get along, but in a professional setting, you have to be professional and you have to be respectful to one another. If you can't do that, then we're going to have to have a different conversation in how this is starting, what's happening, who's being disrespectful, who's following it up, all of those pieces to make sure that the culture and the environment in your school is not jeopardized by it. Tell us what collaboration means to you. For me, collaboration means working with others. It means looking at data, reflecting, trying something, seeing if it works. If it doesn't work, going back and adapting it to change and meet the needs of everybody. Collaboration can happen subject area to subject area, grade level to grade level. It can happen cross grade level. It can happen from special ed to core plus to different parts of the school. There should be collaboration in all means of everything you're doing, even from seeing growth from kindergarten to 5th grade. There should always be collaboration, and it is a vital piece to help students grow and meet the growth needs that a school or that I would set as necessary. What ideas do you have to enhance and change our culture, virtual program, or current virtual programs? Virtual programs can be challenging, especially for elementary. Kids don't focus as well. It's not as appealing to a student to sit behind a computer versus hands-on interacting at a school. Luckily, we don't have a lot of virtual opportunities at the district I'm in right now. There are some if it is necessary, but for the majority of the school, it is all in person. When it comes to virtual programs, I feel like there has to be a teacher specifically for the virtual programs. If a teacher or a administrator is split between virtual programs and like actual in-person teaching, then it can be challenging for that teacher to meet the needs of the students at home while meeting the needs of the students at the school. So having somebody specifically set up for virtual programs would be beneficial. I also think there are a lot of technology benefits to having virtual things, but being able to enhance the in-person school with virtual is more beneficial than having kids just virtual and trying to figure out how to teach them and fill the gaps. As a leader, how would you impact student achievement? Achievement is at the forefront of all educators, or at least the educators that I'm privileged to work with. Being able to show growth over achievement and look at student achievement and figure out what's working, what's not working, what areas do we need to grow and improve. It's all about being able to make those decisions based off of the data that you have and based off of reflecting on the gaps that they have and what needs to be filled before being able to move on. So I would work with my leadership team and my whole school to be able to implement student achievement goals, make sure that they are set in a way that is obtainable but not too far-fetched or not too easy that we make it every year. Sometimes they should be 5-year goals, sometimes they should be 2-year goals. Kind of depends on where your school is and what growth you want to see. What would your current colleagues say about you? What would your most recent managers say about you? I would say that my current colleagues would say I'm a very outgoing and hardworking individual. I pride myself on listening to others and being able to adapt that into a useful resource. Using those skills and using those abilities to listen to others, I am a good bridge between different groups. Sometimes if there's an influx in differences, I excel at finding that bridge between, and that can be very beneficial for me. Managers or leadership would say that I have great leadership skills. I work really well at delegating and making sure people are following the expectations and doing what they're supposed to. And just that I am an outgoing person who is always willing to look at the best in somebody. And sometimes that can be a fault. Sometimes that can be encouraging. But being able to just see that there is growth opportunities for all people is very beneficial for leadership. Tell us about the most recent reading you have done that has impacted your work. I would say the most recent reading that I have done that impacts my work is looking at the fact that, is this a hill I want to die on? Even with the students in my own class, I have very outgoing, talkative friends that can sometimes be challenging to manage, and figuring out where I want to support and where I want to allow for some freedom to be able to get that missing piece and be able to see what I need to grow on and where I need to improve and where the students need to have growth and improvement as well, has really helped me understand myself as an educator and being able to implement more processes for them. Thank you.